So it's the 3rd of May. We might as well talk about some altcoins that look undervalued for this month. So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, make sure you've subscribed, hit the bell button, leave a like and a comment as per usual. Now we're going to look at some altcoins that look pretty good. Now these are higher cap coins because I do think that the higher cap coins, it's their turn to go, right? Now, obviously looking at number 6 here on the little Richter scale, Dogecoin would indicate that there's quite a few things below that are probably undervalued in a non-financial advice sort of sense, because realistically that is crazy. And if you comment and agree with me, fair enough, go for it, right? But in terms of all this, we've got to talk about the higher cap coins, and I'm going to go over 5 coins that I think are undervalued, and I'm going to give you my reasons why. But first, I need to show you something that I did in January. Now, this was the video that I did that is ready to take off. What we did, we pulled back from this point, and now we're currently where this gold line is, roughly around 6,000, well, 60,000 Satoshis, in and around that region, right? Give or take. We could go much higher, which I do think we will. If we're still looking at Ethereum, and Ethereum's doing well, now in this video I said if Bitcoin stays at $34,000, it'll be around $3,000 Ethereum. Obviously Bitcoin is a lot more higher than that. So is Ethereum undervalued? Yes, I think it is still, even though it's flying. But you got to think it's still got all this traction to go. It could still do another 100% from this point, essentially where it is right now live. And if we're talking about the chart in terms of Ethereum, we're not even, you know, when we start looking at it, this little grey line here, this is where that video is. That's where that video line is. That's what that line is. Scary, isn't it? Anyhow, so the market's looking good, right? Talk about it. It's obvious we need to talk about it. There's 5 coins that I think are undervalued, and these are kind of highish cap coins. Now, some of them are really obvious, but it's like, when are they going to go? When are they going to go? And I've mentioned them a few times, thinking just keep a little eye on them. If you want to make some Satoshis, it is the way to go. Now, again, if you're new to this channel, I do apologise. I may mind brain you a little bit, or mind fuck you essentially, because I look predominantly at the BTC pair, because that's where you can kind of see things. Now, first rule of thumb, what is the Bitcoin dominance doing? Now, and I mentioned this yesterday on a live, we've rejected here in March 2018, and we've been resistant support, at August 2018. We've not been lower than this point until now. Hello. So the weekly opening of this candle, and we've had one day where it's literally went boom. So we've had a few days boom, boom, boom. Weekly, bosh. Ooh. So that's massively important. So altcoins are definitely happy right now. So coin number 1, eh? What do you want? What do you reckon? Well, it's gonna be obvious, isn't it? It's Polkadot. Now, my reasons why. Now, technical analysis wise, doesn't look that obvious, right? The reason being, it's relatively high in this BTC pair. But let's look at this. Polkadot is $35 billion in market capitalization. Ethereum is 10x this level. Now, if you know me, or if you've got some common sense, you'd compare the two. You'd compare Ethereum versus Polkadot. Ethereum is crap. At the time of recording, it's expensive. It doesn't scale. It's not the best, but it's not the best, right? We know that. It's going to get better. It will get better. We know that. I'm looking forward to it getting better. I really am. Genuinely am. However, Polkadot has something a bit better. It's a multi-chain. Interoperability. Now, you're going to see essentially Ethereum going on that chain as well. So there's going to be a nice little jolt boost from Ethereum to Polkadot. We've already seen Chainlink. We've already seen a few other kind of Ethereum-led coins already on the substrate. So that's important. Now, we're talking about parachain auctions going live soon. They've got to bid for them. They've got to buy them. They've got to do all kinds of stuff. Now, we're looking at a $35 billion Polkadot, and it hasn't moved fully yet. It's not been functioning at its normal rate because it's not live yet. It's still chilling out. One thing that's happened that will potentially help the price is the fact that On Ledger, you can stake now with only 1 dot. That's important. So that will bring more people to lock up their tokens. That may increase price action. But when we look at this and we think about it, do you honestly think, and I don't, that it is a $35 billion asset? No, I think it could be worth way more, way more. And it's going to be a very, very interesting year to see how that pans out. Now, you've got to remember, in terms of a live market, we are only 9 months old. Ethereum is over 5-6 years old now. So it's still, in my opinion, undervalued. Now, a lot of people would say to me, Polkadot is overvalued back when it was $4 billion. Now we're at $35 billion and people are looking to buy the dip. So I think it'll go much higher. So in terms of this, when we're looking at it, all-time high was $48. We're currently at $37. I think this is going to blow soon. I think it's going to go absolutely berserk. Why? Competition with Ethereum. People will compare Ethereum with Polkadot. People will look at Ethereum and go, Ethereum is too expensive. I want to buy something cheaper. Looking at the price range of a $37 Polkadot versus a $3,000 whatever Ethereum, it's going to play in that mindset of the normal new investor. You've also got to think branding as well. Branding, I think Polkadot is a much better branded coin. I think it's got more likeness to normal people. And I think it's easier to actually understand in terms of how it works versus the virtual machine of Ethereum. That's kind of this way that I think anyways. But when we're thinking about it, the fact that Cardano is higher than it, the fact that Dogecoin is higher than it, the fact that XRP is higher than it, the fact that Binance Coin is higher than it, crazy. But you got to think there's not one element on that chain. There's not one relay chain. There's not one parachain live yet on that Polkadot ecosystem. Kusama, no. Why? Because Kusama is its own individual entity that will as well, and I will mention this in this video, will run its own parachains. So Polkadot, number one. Very, very simple. The next one to talk about, and again, I've kind of already mentioned it just recently, Chainlink. The oracles have not done anything yet. And I think it's criminal. Now, this is the TA that I've got. To the previous alt season back in the summer of last year, where DeFi went pop. 141% from currently roughly live prices right now in the BTC pair. So that would potentially give us $100 in terms of a Chainlink very, very easily. Probably much higher than that if Bitcoin stays the same. Now, I think I've got reservations about Chainlink with its wallets, but I still think doesn't matter about that. I think it's undervalued. It hasn't done anything this year. It's been shocking this year. And I said that. I did a video at the end of last year and I said Chainlink could fall out the top 10, not because it's bad, but because other things will probably outgrow it. It's already showing that very, very clearly that we're at rank 12. Litecoin is higher than Chainlink. That is criminal. Criminal. Bitcoin Cash is bigger in value than Chainlink. It's got to be undervalued. Got to be undervalued, and I think it is. So if we're looking at this now, we're thinking, right, where can we go? Well, this is the next interesting point. In my opinion, I think that's where the next move is, if it gets there, if it gets going. If the oracles go, alt season is fully juicing, right? It already is. We've been in alt season for a while now, we know that. But when we talk about parabolic kind of cycles, boom, gets very, very interesting. So I think Chainlink at $40 is criminal. Now, this is the USD side of it. I had a nice little impulse. It pulled back to the 618, and now we're on a little merry way up. It may go to 65 on this run, maybe not, I don't know. But looking at that side of it, it's like, oh my days. It's like, what? It's huge. So keep an eye on it. That is a definite doozy. Next one, we talk about parabolic growths. Ave. Why? It's kind of in link with Chainlink and Compound and stuff like that. Money locked up, the DeFi network, and Ethereum, right? Ethereum popping off is always good for the Ethereum-led DeFi tokens, and same with oracles, right? So if Ethereum gets going, we may well see these get even more interest. Now, this is kind of popped off. It's kind of done its impulse. It's popping, right? It's looking quite good. It's starting to show a strength of a trend just about right now, starting up. It may well continue its growth. Now, in my opinion, I think this is undervalued. Again, I've said it a few times. That's 58% lower than the previous high, and that was in February. Looking at the USD chart, it's pretty much level at a potential blue sky breakout of all-time high. Now, yes, I know, all-time high, scary, but you got to think that BTC pair, if this catches up and BTC stays the same, that could do a 50% move potentially in its USD pair, essentially, right? So if we're talking about 50% up, we could be looking at roughly $770+, give or take. And I think that would still be pretty decent when you compare the fact of where it is now in terms of market capitalization. Now ranked 28, 6.5 billion. You know, it wouldn't shock me in the slightest to see this as an asset over $10 trillion, 10 trillion, maybe not, $10 billion in the future, which is always important. Now, the next one to look at, it's a controversial one, XRP. I think this is absolutely criminal in the BTC pair. Yes, it's got its issues. Yes, it's got all kinds of. Now, currently at resistance level, I'll find a spot 618 on this. You know, this bounce sort of element, and I think it's going to go much higher. But if I zoom out and I show you it, you're going to probably go, wow, what? That's XRP. So XRP, in my opinion, still got a long way to go. I think, yes, that's a top, I know. But even when you think about like December 2018, that could still go much higher. Even when you think that top level still could go much higher. We've got to think of the fundamentals. What's going to happen? Well, we all know that new people like this coin. We all know there's a lawsuit. We all know there's issues with that. Sort that out. You may well get some interest. And if people buy XRP, well, it's always good for the market. It's new people in the market. And we're looking at that as a potential area. So let's just say, for example, it does go to where December 2018 levels are, 253%. If it goes to the top and even higher than that, 700. You never know. Don't rule anything out in crypto. I always say that. You know, even though I go, nah. But what could that give us? Well, we're $1.58. Everything's parabolic. Bitcoin is 4 times its value compared to where it was back in when it was $3 back in 2017, 2018. Ethereum was all-time high. Yeah, do I think it's undervalued? Probably, yeah. Easily. I think once a lawsuit sorted, all kinds of good stuff with that, yeah, happy days. And again, it's an introduction to the space for a lot of people, XRP, which is always somewhat important, but you know, what would you rather buy, Dogecoin or XRP? Well, they're pretty much mix and match your tokens at the moment. It's kind of scary that Tether is the only thing that's in between those two. But is it undervalued in the BTC pair? Yes, definitely. Last one, I've already mentioned it, Kusama. Now, why Kusama, you're asking? Well, I don't hold this anymore. I did hold it. Held it for a bit, around $100. Sold it at about $450, give or take. It's dipped quite nicely, but also the parachains are going live. There's expectation of over 100 parachains in the next calendar year. By the end of this year, they're expecting at least 30 to be live. So following on to the start of next year, there's going to be even more. When we look at the fact of, you know, what this is going to achieve, it's going to be very, very similar to Polkadot. I said this before. It's a separate entity, a separate chain, but it will run in the same sort of manner. And you got to think on the weekly time frame, we had a nice little retracement down to the 618 levels on this high, pulling it all the way back, and it's looking likely it's consolidating, but the parachains are going to go live very, very soon. Deployment of those, the bidding war, the action of it, it's going to create hype, and there's only 10 million or 9 million tokens essentially, so the valuation of it's going to be very, very interesting. We always know what happens with these in terms of the normal elements of life, scarcity and stuff like that. More and more people are going to buy it, lock it up for staking. More and more, you know, developers are going to be buying the token to essentially, in my opinion, bid for those parachains. It's looking quite good. So we may well be getting a test of all-time high very, very soon. But when you look at the BTC pair, it's looking pretty good too. And I do think it's undervalued in my opinion. And I think utility-wise, it's still quite low in value. It's looking pretty damn awesome. Other ones to mention. Now, before we end, I know I said 5, but there's a few other ones that I want to mention. First one is Zilliqa. I've already mentioned it before in the past. When you look at this and zoom out, it's still got, in my opinion, a long way to go. There's other ones as well out there, such as IOTA. That looks pretty good. There's loads of coins out there. Pluton token, another one. It's relatively low in value. There's a lot of coins that could still pop. And we've already had pops from the likes of VeChain. We've already had pops from the likes of Cardano in the past. You obviously got Dogecoin, you know, all these kind of elements and assets. But at the end of the day, if the BTC dominance keeps dropping, if the alt season kind of run carries on in terms of the total 2 chart goes up, Ethereum keeps going up and people get more interest in the space, we remember people like green candles. And at the end of the day, it brings people in, whether that is XRP, whether that is Dogecoin, whether that is something totally rubbish. It's an introduction to the market. Welcome to the space. But at the end of the day, you got to pick your battle. You got to pick the coins that you want to go for. Win, lose, whatever, doesn't matter. As long as you can afford to invest that money, that's fine. And make sure you do your own verification process and your research first. But enjoy. I'll see you again very, very soon.